Are you going on internet-based forums looking for advice on how to handle your gear, technique, or even career? Then you're slowly being turned into an idiot. Forget politics. If you want to see the concentrated black hole level of false information and disinformation being spread by hysterical cult members, look no further than social media and base forums. So I'm going to give you 5 huge reasons why you need to stop asking these temples of stupidity for advice on your playing. And I hear what you're about to say, but Rodney, you're on the internet and you give advice. Nice attempt at a coherent thought person who sounds strangely identical to me, only dumber. But there is a huge difference. People who do videos or demonstrations or videos actually have to prove their point. If I put an opinion out there, chances are I have to back it up with actual sounds and evidence and playing proving what I'm talking about. The overwhelming majority of people on a forum are just screaming one over another why they're somehow an expert in the field with zero credentials, credibility, or evidence. If you think this is still a good way to gather information, I genuinely feel bad for what kind of medical advice you must also be receiving. A final quick side note. December is Tough Love Month. I've been planning a few videos dispelling rumors and garbage information I keep seeing all over the internet and even in other videos, and it's finally time for Daddy to clean house. So let's get at it. Idiocy example number 1. Dingwall and dark glass. This may come as a shock to a great many of you, but there are more pieces of equipment made available for bass guitar other than Dingwall basses and dark glass pedals. I know, I was as shocked as anyone. I see this endless suggestion being handed out every single time any player asks for any opinion on any type of gear upgrade. Total disregard for the person's style of music, tonal preferences, influences, anything. The suggestion will always be Dingwall to dark glass. For the love of God, there is more than one bass sound available. I promise you. And as if it's not bad enough to constantly recommend these same 2 pieces of equipment, it's always preached to dial it in a specific way to get that same sound. I know you know the one I'm talking about. The same one that everyone in every Instagram video, every YouTube clip, every modern metal recorded example uses and overuses. I got an idea. Instead of proposing that it get a Dingwall and a dark glass, how about you help them out in a much better way and suggest that they just get a personality? You're not a bassist. You're a human preset. You're just going where somebody else already got, just faster. At the end of the day, it's just kind of creepy. These people are in a cult. It's like you think it's a magic solution for everything, including bass sounds and beyond. Okay guys, thanks for the suggestion on what I should be getting for my next gear setup, but quick follow-up question. My chest feels tight, I can't feel my left arm, and my vision is slowly narrowing to a small point in front of me. What should I do? Have you tried a Dingwall to dark glass? You're sick. Get help. That brings us to idiocy example number 2. The overwhelming majority of the answers you get are just repetitions of quotes from other posts or magazine articles or things some hero that player has, and they just get repeated over and over and over again. They have nothing to do with that person's actual life experience or anything they have any knowledge on. They just keep thinking that if they parrot the same opinion or the same quote over and over again, that they'll look smart and no one will ever catch on. I've seen people directly lift word for word, cut and paste quotes from engineers and artists directly from interviews and act like it's something they came up with. We know you didn't actually think this up. You're on a bass forum, constantly giving out unqualified advice to people. You have no actual knowledge of the situation. There's no possible way you actually thought up any of this on your own. We know. That leads us to closely related idiocy example number 3. Most of the people posting are just looking for approval and to be one of a crowd. They want social points. By offering advice that they have no place to give, they somehow think this gives them some kind of social bump or credibility. My favorites are people who give advice on gear they've never even owned and never played. Still openly, some admit that they've never owned or played it, but then will just go on about what they actually do own or just what seems to be in at the moment and try to convince you to use the same thing. Somehow this makes them feel good or justifies their bad purchases and makes them feel better about themselves in general. They have some bizarre thing in their head that if They get a bunch of people to buy the same things based on their opinion that they suddenly get some kind of award. Or a gear company gives them one of those big fake checks like you get when you win the lottery or something. Or maybe they even get a day named after them on the internet or something. If you ask for a recommendation on something, watch how fast the same piece of gear will get recommended to you over and over and over again in that thread. It's a weird little popularity contest for people with no lives trying to waste other people's time and money to make themselves feel like they're somehow important. Avoid them at all costs. And now we're on to idiocy part 4. And this is one of my absolute most hated. The level of anti-knowledge and even anti-science information given out that should actually be subject to legal penalties. Chief amongst them is bad advice on a technique or approach to the instrument because famous person that I like does it this way, so that means it's right. No, famous person you like actually put in billions of hours that you won't do to make their bad technique work. Just because you like their playing doesn't mean they're doing something good. It doesn't mean that all observable instrument technique history also goes out the window because one person made something ludicrous work for the length of their career. Well, Lemmy does it this way, so that means it's right. Lemmy also drank to a point that would bury the average person on a daily basis and did crank his entire life. I don't think emulating that is necessarily going to get you real far either. If it did, having lived in Los Angeles for 25 years, I can guarantee you we would have acres and acres of Lemmys and not acres and acres of tent cities full of homeless crackheads who tried to live up to that standard and lost horribly. Just because your hero does something and you have an abnormal worship of them does not mean they are an example of all things to be emulated. And another fantastic example is going to be when people say idiot things like how you have to beat the hell out of your bass just to get a good sound out of it, or you could only get aggressive sounds via slapping or playing with a pick, or one song can only be played fingerstyle, or all these other idiotic things that even break down on a scientific level. I'm going to lay waste to this stuff in the follow-up video to this one. Believe that. With proof, examples, and that's right, science, I'm going to show you what the real deal is. But by all means, keep listening to these internet Einsteins mouthing moronic things that, yet again, they probably heard from some hero of theirs and haven't even played their bass long enough to figure out whether it's valid or not because they spend too much time trying to bullshit you on an internet forum. And we reach the end of our journey through stupidity with example number 5. People who are just regurgitating gear manufacturer press releases. After seeing how badly people will simp and fanboy for a bunch of instrument makers that have no connection to them and would probably flee their presence immediately should they ever actually meet them, I will never again make fun of Taylor Swift fans or people who wait in hotel lobbies trying to meet their favorite rock star. It's like they join some kind of brand name cult and identify their entire personality with it. It's especially brutal when they give out advice that is absolute garbage, but something that the company is using to market their gear, so they take it as absolute fact. You should totally mix 410 and single 15 cabinets in a bass stack that wasn't designed to go together that way. It's not like one will drastically overpower the other, or create strange mixes with the way the two different frequency curves interact, or best case scenario, wind up having you blow one of the cabs, the 15, when you try and push it way too hard, not understanding why one isn't keeping up volume-wise with the other. Or God forbid you talk about a bad experience with one of their sacred cow companies, and now instead of getting help with a problem, you get some kind of internet beatdown for daring to actually have invested in a piece of garbage that you're hoping to get some kind of help or support for. Super awesome basses never have a problem like that. It didn't happen to my specific bass, and if it didn't happen to my specific bass, then it couldn't possibly happen to the other 50,000 of them on the market, because they're all identical to my bass. Like some kind of weird Corsican twin situation when it comes to manufacturing. It must be something wrong with what you're doing. I have some kind of weird worship of this brand and will defend it for no apparent reason against someone I don't even know for no reward whatsoever. So how about you just shut up? So now we're at the end of the list and of course at the end of the journey. So I obviously have to give you my advice. Something I can and will back up should you ask me about it. Or you could just go over the couple hundred videos, especially the Metal Bass Mondays, where I've demonstrated and proven the things that I've professed for years on here, which apparently I'm going to have to go over again because some of you just aren't getting it yet. At the end of the day, playing bass or any instrument is an art based on sound. So my advice, use your ears. They will always be your best counsel. Listen to demos, go and try the stuff out for yourself, try different techniques, watch different players, check it out for yourself. Always trust your own ears, your own instinct, and your own gut. Odds are a 17-year-old shut-in with no actual live experience who's only been playing for 6 months by himself just isn't going to have that transcendental answer that's going to solve all your bass playing mysteries. But that's my thoughts on the topic. As always, hit me up in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on it, and you're always welcome to come and fight me. And that's alright, because we both know you're just wrong. That's a wrap on this one. I'll see you next time. Buckle up. No, he doesn't need bigger strings. Stop telling him that. Stop.